Yes, I'm happy. No, I'm happy. I'm happy
And
and
snappy.
friendly and wild. And I'm living just for a little while. And while I'm here, I'm going to make everybody else as happy as I can.
Who are you?
I'm reeling after last night's city board meeting.
Oh, okay.
So we won't go into that because we're going to try to be
Probably
happy.
best.
We're going to try
Yeah.
to be positive.
Hi, I'm
today.
Peggy Burton.
Yeah,
Nice to be here.
I have heard,
You
Peggy Burton,
have you?
that Into the Woods is a fantastic performance.
They
at
did
South
a great job.
Jackson
Some of the
Civic
best
Center.
singers I've heard in a long time, all in one group. They did a very professional job. It's a real unique production, not easy to do. The music of Sondheim is very difficult,
Right.
and they pulled it off with great class.
Is there an orchestra or is the music recorded
The music is recorded, and I don't know that we had the pieces of an orchestra that could have
Could have
done some of
with
those
that.
sounds.
Yeah, right.
And they handled it very well. That's a real challenge, especially for the sound guy. You know, trying to put the voices in the right place. Well, it's, anyway,
you know,
it's a challenge all the way around.
The way I understand it is we're very fortunate to be able to even do it because right after we paid for full licensing for that play was taken off of Broadway and went on tour.
Yeah.
And when it's on tour, you
You
can't
can't
do it.
So how did we get by with that?
There was full licensing paid.
Oh, okay.
You didn't pay. What happened is they got paid full licensing instead of putting a down payment.
Yeah, they had to
If you
pay.
would have put a down payment, they would have sent you your down payment back and told you no. But after you had paid for full licensing, they couldn't stop you from doing it.
Well, really, I got to hand it to the cast and to the crew and to the director, Greg Gressel, and the choreographer and everybody pulling this off. It's
Yeah.
very different, very different. I enjoyed it. I went Sunday.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what everybody that's come out of there is saying, and that it's an exceptional.
So this weekend is the
performance.
last weekend.
Yes, it is.
Friday night, Saturday night, 7 o'clock, Sunday, 2:30. So grab your tickets. I think it'll, a lot of tickets will be
You a
sold this week.
basketball fan?
I am. I even watched a movie about basketball this weekend.
Did you?
Reminded me of my sister. She was a great basketball player.
Was she?
She was, that's why I went to a different high school. I didn't want to have to follow.
Didn't want to have to follow her.
Yeah, she was
Where did she go to
fabulous.
high school?
She graduated from Bell Buckle High School, and
Did she?
I went to Coffee County, high school. Anyway, yeah, I like basketball.
Do you? Did you watch any of the March Madness basketball?
I watched some of it.
This is the first time I think ever that there's not been a number one seed even made it to the Final Four.
But, yeah. No, I
The,
mean, I
the
don't keep up with all
Cinderella
that.
teams, there's teams up there playing in the Final Four that have never even been in the tournament before.
Wow.
And now they've made
That's
it all the
pretty-
way to the top.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, the team that put out Tennessee is still playing, and the team that put out Alabama is still playing, and they're small schools.
And when does that
Florida
all-
International.
When does that all end up? I mean, the finals and
they're
all
still
that.
playing. They're in the Final Four
Yeah.
right now, so they'll play 2 more games, and then there'll be the 2 that are left will play for the national
What a thrill that is
championship.
for people that haven't been,
Never been.
not been there.
Small schools.
Yeah. Isn't that
San
great?
Diego State.
I think you find a lot of determination and grit in small schools.
Yes.
They just will push to the end.
Well, and particularly in a basketball program, because basketball takes about 20 people. Football takes about 100.
I know.
And so you're not,
Huge.
the expense of clothing them, transporting
Right.
them, feeding them, scholarshiping them
Huge.
is but it's nothing
Nothing
in
like
comparison
football,
to
yeah.
football. So a smaller school can have a very, very good program in basketball where there's no way they could in football.
Right. Because it takes so many
So,
people.
and plus-
and they just don't have that many people.
Plus, athletics in the United States of America is huge, and small schools, high schools, are doing an outstanding job in creating fine athletes.
Exactly.
And they all can't go to the big
They
schools.
all can't go, yeah.
So the little schools get to pick up some of these really, really good players. And it's showing up right now because there's 2 of them in the Final Four.
And that's wonderful.
Isn't it great?
Yes, it is.
I love an underdog story.
I-
You remember the cartoon Underdog on television?
I do.
He was a goofy looking dog till he put his cape on.
Yeah.
And he was
And then he was Wonder Man.
Wonder Dog. Wonder Dog.
I love that.
He would fly into a tree or a building every now and then.
I wish I had a
He was
cape.
fun.
We all need a cape.
We all need a cape. Always, always trust your cape. One of my favorite writers wrote that, and it's about a kid that, that jumps off a building with a cape. His buddies tell him he can fly. He puts a cape on,
Puts a
jumps
cape
off
on,
the barn.
jumps off,
How
never
many of
kills
them have
him.
done that? Jumped off the
Right,
barn
nearly kills
with
himself.
wings strapped to their.
Yeah.
But always trust your cape, no matter what anybody else says. If you've got one, and we all have one, if you can just open up your eyes and see it.
Yeah.
You always trust your cape, and your cape is what is wrapped around you and the knowledge and the things that you've learned.
And to protect you and,
And
make you strong.
And make you strong. And we all can be that if we will allow ourselves.
I think we need to take a moment to think about the horrible tragedy in Nashville
Yes.
yesterday. Just breaks my heart, and people are suffering, and it's just so hard to believe that this is continuing across the nation.
And and last night, of course, that brought up the subject in our board meeting about SROs, and that we have a police officer in the high school, but we need to have them in every school.
We need to have them in every school and at every door. Be one man, I don't even know how much they can do, but it's great that Tullahoma is thinking about that.
Well, they're working on it. They've been working on it, and it's if you go and put SRO officer in every school, you're looking at probably $500,000-$600,000 worth of payroll that you
Right.
don't have. So the first
Exactly.
thing you got to do is figure out where you're going to get
Figure
that
where you're
money.
gonna get, and can you have volunteers? Maybe more
And-
volunteers
and,
would help.
if we could get our city government together and thinking straight, and could start building a few houses and get some more taxes, maybe it'd be easier to
Maybe it'd
pay
be
for those
easier.
folks.
You're right.
But if we're going to shut everything down and try to live off what we're living off of and grow, we'll all have to pay more money to do it.
It's hard.
It's tough.
It's
a
hard,
tough deal
and
out there.
it's hard to rationalize with some people what that all means.
Right.
They think, oh, it's good like the way it is, but there are a few changes we have to do.
Yeah,
I think
and
in life.
you have to look at the people who have an opportunity and the time and the financing or the funding in their household to spend enough time to understand everything. There's a whole lot of folks that just to get by have to work every hour of the day they can,
True.
and they haven't got time to worry about it. So, I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
that's true. Yeah,
it's true. They
They're
go to
just-
work
They go to work, and that's it.
every waking moment.
Mm-hmm.
They go to work, and
So I
Just get by.
salute the working man or woman or child.
yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
That's it.
God
I
bless the
guess-
working man.
We need to bring. You need to sing that today. God bless the
can't
working
remember- I
man.
can't remember
I
how-
can't remember it
I
either,
can't remember who sang
but it's
that
a good
song
line.
either. It was either Merle Haggard. It was somebody that was a very big country star that sang that
I
song.
admire people that cannot work for a while. I think I was kind of raised up that you had to be on it all the time. You had to be on the job. Get it done. Don't put it off. Don't wait till
Right.
tomorrow. Get it done. How many times did I stay up till 4 in the morning to write a term paper
Yeah.
just because it was the
'Cause you-
last
'cause you
minute?
put it off.
I put it off. Yeah.
Procrastination is one of the
I know.
biggest facilitators of stagnation that there is.
And we have really such a nice town here.
We do. It's a wonderful place.
And so many good things going on, and things for young people. I feel like we have things.
Yeah. Oh heavens, yes.
And but
That most time you can't go to a town with 20,000 people and find an art center and a science center and a performing arts center like we have here.
That's true.
They,
That's
they
true.
don't exist. Those towns are, that's why this is the 23rd best small town in the United States
I
of
love that.
America.
Isn't that good?
And it didn't happen overnight. It happened through
No,
years of
no, it
cultivation. And people like this lady right here, Peggy Burton.
Well, like
and,
you,
and a lot
John.
of the folks who have spent their life propping up and making sure that our creative and our facilities that let us learn and let our children learn what's in the world
Thank you for that.
you know, and it's not always what's popular, it's what's in the world. You know, you got rock and roll music, you got country music, well, guess what? You've got jazz, you've got blues, you've got,
Yeah, we got-
classical.
we got
You know,
jazz
there's
coming
all
to-
kinds of stuff that's out there, and she's made sure that the young people in this town have had an opportunity to see that.
Yeah, I love seeing them grow up on the stage
Yeah.
and becoming, well, and also I love the fact that many of them come back to Tullahoma. I think we're grateful for that.
We
The
have,
young people
we have
that,
Grammy award-winning people.
I know, we have some wonderful people that
That have
come
come
back
from
and
here.
give back. That's what
Right,
I'm trying to
right.
say. I think there was a time when everybody was just dying to get out of town. You know what I mean? I don't know about here in Tullahoma because I didn't live here, but you know, there was a time when everybody just thought, well, it's the thing to do to go away. But now I think we have a lot of great people coming
Well,
back
but-
after they graduate to.
But young people
Give to
need to
town.
go away.
Well, yeah, I know.
They need to go live in a city somewhere and
Old
find out
people
what
do
it's
too.
like.
I need to go away. That's
No,
the
you
way I'm
don't.
going to get a rest.
No.
I remember when my father left the farm, he said, if I'm ever going to rest one day in my life, I better get off this farm.
Yeah.
And that's the way some people
Then he
feel.
mowed grass 4 days a week.
Right.
Hunting something to do.
I miss
Hey, it's Easter time
What you
coming
got?
up, and this is I love this. This is out of my Loku book that you can find by coming by and seeing me, or find at the Art Center. Tullahoma Art Center has a members boutique up there, and I have some books up there.
You have any of your books in our, we finally now have a place to sell in South
No.
Jackson. We'll put
I'll take some down
Take some
there.
books down there,
The Golden Egg Story is a scam.
of course.
If I catch that damn rabbit, I'll skin him, nail his ears to the barn, put his foot in my pocket, then boil that mushroom munching thief and dine on a lovely rabbit stew for Easter.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Poor bunnies.
All right, here we go. This is the bit, a little bit nicer.
Okay.
Ham, yams, deviled eggs, mac and cheese. May I have some broccoli casserole, please? Tomatoes, potatoes, homemade rolls, green beans, coconut and carrot cakes, bunny cookies and pies. The day when your stomach is as big as your eyes.
Oh,
But the family there is where fulfillment lies. Happy Easter.
that's pretty.
So,
I like it.
You folks have a happy Easter out there. We'll be right back after these messages.
Baby, you see, I cannot set you free. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
He's a little bit of you, he's a little bit of me. He's the trash along the roadside of Tennessee. He's the garbage that we pack. He's the dream we left behind. Lord, there ain't Tennessee trash. A throwaway bottle or pop-top can may not seem much to a traveling man, but a little bit of litter goes a long, long way. Growing, a growing, getting bigger every day. Tennessee trash, messing up the highways. Tennessee trash, jogging up the byways. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. We have met the enemy, and he is us.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we're back, and we were speaking about music in the first part, and about the different types and kinds of music. And because of Peggy here, there was a Celtic or a St. Patrick's Day celebration at South Jackson Civic Center, and she engaged Jim and Inge Wood.
They were fabulous, I have to tell
to
you.
come and do a show, not just a little bit. They did an hour and a half, close to 2 hours.
Close to 2 hours.
Involving dancing and education and some of the most outstanding music you can ever hear. What a great professional.
They did a wonderful job, and I just loved it.
And we're going to bring some of it to you right
Good,
now.
good.
The Bookshelf in Tullahoma is the fundraising arm of the Coffee County Literacy Council. Since 1988, the Literacy Council's goal and purpose has been to support and promote adult basic education in Coffee County. We enable individuals to complete their high school equivalency exam, which helps them get better jobs or continue into higher education. The Bookshelf at 114 Southwest Atlantic Street in Tullahoma is where we sell used books which are donated to us by the community. Come see us, bring your books to donate, and join us as you find every genre of books that you can imagine.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me in life care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
Parkview Senior Living, active, independent senior living at its finest.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. I have the nicest people with me today. I don't know how I get lucky and have good people on my part. This is Loretta Christian with Horseplay and Marcia Cowan, who I've both known for quite a while, and they're planning stuff, right?
Yes, sure are.
What we got going?
Well, we've got the luncheon coming up next month, April the 14th. That's
April
on a Friday.
14th, Friday noon. Is it still going to be at Grace Baptist?
And it'll be pick up or 5 or more meals we can deliver locally. And we had to increase the price this year. It's
Okay.
$12 a plate.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I mean, where can you go and get a full meal like you guys put out for $12? Do you want to give a rundown of what's on the menu, Marcia?
We've got turkey, we've got ham, we've got green beans, we've got sweet potatoes, dressing, rolls,
all
desserts,
the comfort food
all
you
the
can
comfort foods you can think of, but kind of like an Easter dinner, just blown apart.
I know, it's wonderful. And do you have a special, like if you buy 10 meals or anything like that?
Not this year.
Not this year. Everyone's just a flat out $12.
It's $12,
But
yeah.
I guarantee you, when I have bought one of these meals, I've eaten on it for 3 days. So it's wonderful. And your local people are cooking and bringing it fresh to the table.
It is.
All right, let's tell them how they get on. There we go. Write it down, 931-455-5189. Call and make your reservation for
Yeah, that's Top
however-
Rehab. And if you forget, just look up Top Rehab.
Oh,
Give them
okay.
a call. They're taking the orders for us. And then Pickup will be at Grace Baptist, and again, delivery for 5 or more. Orders.
I believe serving starts at what, 10:30?
10:30 is, if
Oh, so
people need
you
to come
are-
early and pick theirs up, a lot of businesses
Are you
need to
having
do
anybody
that.
sit down for dinner, or
Not
they're all
yet.
still takeout?
We're still takeout.
Y'all got hooked up on that with COVID,
And it's really
and it-
worked well. I think
I think
the
it-
community appreciates
I think the
it.
community does, because they can order enough and have their friends over for dinner or for lunch, and
Right.
and that
right.
works out, and they go pick up the food.
And I think I was trying to calculate the first year we did this, and I honestly think it was 2,000. So we've been doing it.
You've
for a
been doing
while.
it for quite a while.
We're getting pretty good at it.
I don't know what year this is.
23.
23 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I think we need to reiterate what it is this is about. They're not just taking the money and going home with it.
No.
This money goes for horseplay. And tell us some of the things that.
Horseplay is a nonprofit, 5013.
C3.
And so anything you buy that goes with this is tax exempt. And so you can remember that.
And it was founded 25 years ago last year, so this is the 26th year that we've been here. And we offer therapeutic horseback riding for disabled children.
Disabled children.
Or children with challenges. And their parents don't have to pay anything to horseplay for the child to come for the therapy sessions.
It's a wonderful thing to do.
Yes,
I mean, people that have handicapped children need, especially those that can't walk. I always think about that. The fact that they get legs when they get on a horse,
They do.
and they just feel so free and independent.
So riding a horse gives them the exact sensation that they would get walking.
Right.
It mimics
they're in
that.
charge.
So
They're
they
moving
actually
somewhere.
get that, and it can improve their walking skills for that reason.
That's what I've heard.
We have also, over the years, had more autistic children as a part of the program too.
Autistic?
Autistic. And the social relationships, they bond with a horse, they relate to a
Oh,
horse,
yeah.
and that transfers over into their daily life.
And makes them
So
happier
it
people.
makes them happier. The families, we have so many stories of children that they never thought they would do anything other than maybe come up and pet the horse. And
now they
gets
get
up
on
there,
the
they're
horse
on
and
the
off
horse,
they
they're
go.
riding, they're talking to it, they come home, they talk about the horse, they want to bring things to their horse.
Oh, sweet.
So those relationships help both at home and at school also.
Oh,
So,
of course.
you know, I think sometimes people go, you put a kid on a horse, so what? You know, so what? It is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
big,
It's a
big
huge deal.
Yes.
And how many how many students or children do you think you accommodate?
We've got 50-something.
50-something?
Right
And
now.
is there an
50 to 60.
age limit?
We do cut off at 18 now. Well,
Okay.
19 actually. They can go through their 18th
They can go through their
year.
18th year, and they can come at what age?
From 4.
We
From 4.
start at 4. Occasionally we've had some big 3-year-olds
Yeah.
that we've served, but usually 4.
Well, it's a
And-
beautiful program, and you all have made so many new things happen there at the farm, which is out on Highway, 120? Is that 120?
West Side Drive.
West Side Drive.
Yeah.
And do you let people come by and take a look every once in a while?
We love visitors.
And do you take like maybe food for the horses, or?
Anybody can donate food for the horses. They can buy hay for them. They can buy the food at the co-op that they eat.
And so if they went to the co-op would know what to feed a horse, and they could buy that and take it by, or
Yes,
they
ma'am.
can always send money.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know it takes a lot of money, because you
It
have some
does.
paid personnel, don't you?
We do. We have a program director, and then we have now had to pay feeders because the program's grown so much that just the volunteers that we had
Could not do it
manage
all. Are y'all
So
still looking for volunteers?
We are.
Oh, yes, ma'am. All the time.
I'm
And-
going to quote our board president, Ken
Okay.
McKay. We need 2 things. We need volunteers and we need money.
And we need money.
So,
That's a good thing to know, because a lot of us want to give back but don't have the time to go and feed the horse and do this and do that. And it's a wonderful program, and I encourage anybody out there to make some kind of donation. Be sure and go to this meal
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Absolutely.
that's a donation with perks.
Because the food's wonderful.
I know it's amazing.
And this is our major fundraiser, and has been.
A shout out to Grace Baptist for
Yes.
always
Oh, yeah.
allowing good things to happen in our community, and
Yeah.
I am so appreciative. Is
They
that
did not hesitate to let us use the church facilities for our luncheon.
that's
And,
wonderful.
And we've got to jump ahead quickly and tell them the date for the barn dance.
Oh,
Oh, you
so-
are having a barn dance.
Yeah, but it's in the early stages. It's going to be at the Pavilion in Wiseman Park in Lynchburg, August the 26th. And
Oh.
it'll be from 6:30 to 9 o'clock, and we're going to have an auction.
And so if you have anything you want to donate, right?
Oh,
yes,
we'll take
ma'am,
it.
we'll take it.
For auction.
Anything that you have that you want us to auction off, because all of it goes for horseplay, there's a lot of things that horseplay needs. We need to buy-
Harnesses and saddles.
Yeah.
You still need saddles.
Oh, yeah. We need, we got the helmets this year, but we still need a lot of tack for the horses. They're always needing that. But mainly the money comes in about paying what we need about monthly bills.
Oh,
Because
I can imagine.
insurance has to be paid, and electricity and water has to be paid. And the horses like to eat.
Oh, of course they do.
A lot. And all of them are older, except one or two, and they are on special diets.
Oh, and you take care of them till they die?
We do.
That's beautiful.
Or until they decide they don't want the children to
Yeah.
ride them, and they go back to their permanent home.
Do you still have room to take horses if somebody wanted to give you a horse?
Actually, we're down a horse right now.
You're down
so
a horse.
we're actively looking
So
for
I think
one.
that's always a good idea to put that out there, because sometimes people have a horse, then they
Right.
get tired of it and don't have, or get old and can't take care of it.
But the horse
That's all the
has to
time
meet-
we have.
The horses have to meet a certain criteria.
Yeah.
And they can bring it in, and our program director works with it. See if
Y'all are
it'll
going to
work
have to
out.
come back so we can talk about this again.
Okay.
Loretta and Marcia, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll be back
Becky.
with more.
I want to invite y'all to come by Clayton's, downtown Tullahoma. We try to serve the community, the area, and we try to help people with their feet and comfortable shoes. We still measure feet. We have a great new arch mat. We have insoles. Please come see us at Clayton's and let me help you find some comfortable shoes for those achy feet.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. with John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch and John. We are here today for segment 65 of the Conversations with John and Pat.
That's when I graduated from high school. 65.
65.
That was a good year.
It was a good year.
It was good. Had a good time. I liked high school a whole lot. But we're going to talk about some sports.
Most school people liked school. I loved school.
Yeah, I did
Loved
too.
it.
I couldn't see why people wouldn't like it. But this little song, I'm going back in the archives a little bit of my memory and pulling out some of these songs that I wrote. And this was a parody. I think we talked about that one other time, you know, about using a tune that already was there, and I put words to it.
Not everybody from Forest High knows what a parody is, John. I'm pretty impressed.
Well, thank you, Pat. Here it is. 26 years of my life I gave to pick guitar in Nashville. 26 years of my life I gave to be a star in Nashville. I'm a-going there where the money's free. Music Square is a-calling me. Oh, what a big star I will be there in Music City. Oh, give me a home where the swimming pools roam and the money grows on trees and all the girls want to be squeezed. I'm gonna make my debut at Opryland when I get to Nashville. Get me a bus and my very own band when I get to Nashville. I'm gonna set up shop on Music Row, giving lessons to old Hank Snow. You just watch this old country boy go when I get to Nashville. Oh, give me a home where the swimming pools roam and the money grows on trees and all the girls wanna be squeezed. Well, I'm a-going there if I have to crawl all the way to Nashville. Date Dolly Parton and that ain't all when I get to Nashville. When I get there, I'm gonna change my name, write a hit song about an old freight train. They'll hang my picture in the Hall of Fame when I get to Nashville. I'll sing it. Oh, give me a home where the swimming pools roam and the money grows on trees and all the girls wanna be squeezed. I bet you've never heard that song before, Pat.
I've heard parts of it.
You know, Jimmy, you know, you noticed at the song, a lot of those people, of course, Dolly Parton's married. I'm married. You got
Blissfully.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Dolly, but yes, I am on this end of things. And then Hank Snow is no longer with us. He passed away several years ago. So a lot of that was written a long time ago. And like you can tell, I struggled remembering the words, but I think I got through it.
You didn't have to quit, John.
I didn't have to quit, so that was a good thing. But what are we talking about today, Pat?
Well, the music certainly doesn't provide much of a segue. However,
not every song does.
No. We've had some, we have had some good programs come out of a non-segue, and today will be one of them, we hope. UTSI has been made great contributions to Tullahoma, provided great jobs, and it's been a great kind of showcase for our area and for the state. But not many people realize that UTSI has a sports background, and I did not realize that until yesterday at a barbecue at O'Reilly's Auto Parts. I found out that in 1977, UTSI had a rugby club team that engaged in battle with the University of Tennessee, MTSU, Vanderbilt, and Auburn.
Wow.
And got its footing in a local establishment that has late night hours, and it was frequented by 3 or 4 graduate students seeking some relief from their studies. And they found several look like past athletes or athletes that could be described either way in the establishment, and asked them if they'd ever played rugby. Not only nobody had played rugby, nobody had heard of rugby. But as they described it, several felt
sort of like football.
It's kind of like football without helmets, and which would have fit these boys really well. The problem was none of them would have been termed at that point, nor would they have accepted the term of being a rocket scientist. So it made a really kind of incredible combination. And I guess these club sports, you don't even have to be enrolled, because these boys definitely were not enrolled. Philip, put up that. This is from 1977 Tullahoma News, and I believe UTSI was in striped jerseys, rugby shirts, and the gentleman on the left, it looks like he's signaling touchdown in American football, is Bill Hain. He was a year or two older than I, and maybe what made him legal was that his brother Joe was in charge of facilities at UTSI, and I believe he still is. The gentleman in the middle who's jumping up is Tim Stubblefield, who is with the fire department and a great, and he's also a county commissioner. And the smaller guy on the right in the striped shirt is an actual grad student. So he had real ties to UTSI. This game they lost to MTSU 16-14, but that year they beat Vanderbilt and they beat Auburn. How about the second piece? That is also from 1977, and I believe to the far left is Bobby Nichols, who has been in Tullahoma a long time, and then there's 2 guys on the right, and those are our friends, the Banks brothers. Kenny is the furthest to the left of the 2, and Randy is on the far right. And if anybody will see their legs, they needed Michael Jordan length shorts at that time. They both of them a little bit thin in the leg department. And they are highly competitive people, and I think these graduate students were probably surprised at the lengths that those boys would go to try to make UTSI victorious, but neither one of them has ever been accused of being rocket scientists at the same time.
Pat, that's an ugly thing to say about
well, John, nor you or I would be described as a rocket scientist.
You're correct.
Rocket scientist. But it's great that we live in a community that has.
One thing that I noticed moving from where I was to Tullahoma, the diversity in the community. People at UTSI, AEDC, the Air Force people who come in, they bring a lot of different ideas and life experiences to Tullahoma that we're not familiar with sometimes.
Correct. And
can I tell a story on Tim Stubblefield?
Sure.
I was a coach teacher at East Junior High School at this time, and one day I was a physical education teacher, and we were into wrestling during that time. And I got a child came over to my gym and said, Mr. Rickman, Mr. Saunders, Charlie Saunders, and Tim Stubblefield would like to wrestle.
And Mr. Saunders was the
he was a history teacher,
and I student taught under him in 1975 in the old East building, the old high school building.
And Tim, I suppose, was a 9th grader at that time. I really don't know. It might have been an 8th, but I know probably a 9th.
We're still back in history then, because that'd been either 77 probably or
now.
No.
Here's a teacher. Yeah. Here's a teacher and a student that's been in the classroom, and somebody has said, Mr. Saunders probably to him, I bet you couldn't beat Tim. Tim was strong as an ox. He was. As a child, a youngster, he was strong. And so anyway, yeah.
He was probably bigger than Charlie in the ninth grade too.
Well, but anyway, they came in, all the students gathered around the mats, and I had my whistle, and I was the referee, and I made sure that that things went on without any problems. So Mr. Saunders and Tim began to wrestle, and next thing you know, Mr. Saunders is on his back, and Tim's about ready to pin him, and I think, this is too quick. I can't let Tim beat him so quickly. So I said, no, that's an illegal hold. We're gonna stand you back up. We're gonna stand you back up.
Start over.
Well, wasn't any time to Tim.
A mulligan. Gave him a mulligan, a wrestling mulligan.
Tim had him down again, and that was settled after that. And so Tim beat Mr. Saunders. Now, I don't know if things like that could go on today, but
probably
things were
not.
different back at that time, and we sure had a good time. And I laugh about that today, and I don't know what Mr. Saunders does. But
flinches probably.
But Tim Stubblefield, we love you, old buddy, and all those people who played rugby back that time.
Don, not many people know that UTSI was involved in interscholastic athletics at a high end in 1977, and not many people know that Tim Stubblefield whipped Charlie Saunders in your PE class. But that probably wraps up segment 65 of the Conversations with John and Pat, and we're so desirous of coming back because we have more stories to tell. Thank y'all.
Talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
Okay, here we go.
3, 2.
3, 2, 1.
COVID-19 has been a really long and difficult fight.
So when we start talking about COVID, I completely get it. It's frustrating.
We've all been impacted one way or another.
The fight against COVID is also changing really quickly.
And it's sometimes really hard to keep up.
So here are a few things we know.
We are not fighting the same virus from 2020.
Right now, new variants are a lot more contagious and need to be taken seriously.
Getting vaccinated and staying boosted is the best way to keep you protected from COVID-19 and help you stay out of the hospital.
Even if you got COVID before, it's important that you go get your COVID booster.
COVID vaccines are safe.
Much safer than getting COVID-19.
We all want this to end sooner than later.
So go ahead and do things.
Go out and live your life, but get vaccinated. Stay boosted.
We can all do our part.
And get back to living. You can go to getvaccineanswers.org for more information.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're going to talk a little history about Jack Daniel. When we started collecting Jack Daniel 50 years ago, it was not very popular. There just wasn't anybody collecting Jack Daniels. There really wasn't. Very few people collected. We were talking before I got it. We started here this morning, we would find these $18.95 bottles. Now, we used to buy those for $5. And then the cylinder of bottles, right here, we could buy those for like $15. Now they're thousands of dollars. I was going to tell this story. Beth doesn't know I'm going to tell this, but the first cylinder I ever bought, we went to a junk auction in Manchester, Tennessee. Just junk. We were flea marketed and everything. We saw one of those, and we said we was going to buy it, and we did. We were sitting in the back of the auction, and we gave $15 for it, I think. Gave $10 for it. Everybody in there turned around and looked at us like, are y'all crazy? Them people are crazy. I'll never forget that. But the bad part about that story, she said, you gave $10 for that bottle. You wrap that thing up before we go home. I don't want you to break it. So I didn't. I laid it in the back seat. Sure enough, I hit the brakes on the way home, and it fell forward and smashed into 100 pieces. I lost 10. So the first one of those I ever bought, I broke.
Next time, say yes to you.
Say yes there, yes. But anyway, I'd say Don might agree with me. In the last 20 plus years, Jack Daniel collecting has just exploded. It is just unbelievable. There's tens of thousands of people that collect Jack Daniel now. Every country in the world, every state has collectors. It is just unbelievable. People are really buying Jack Daniel, new stuff, old stuff. It's just a phenomenon, I think. But anyway, so I'm gonna let Don take over here. You ready?
Yeah.
I've run my mouth enough. Y'all go ahead. So.
Anyhow, my name is Don Caldwells. I live in Murfreesboro. I've been collecting Jack Daniels for a little over 43 years and known Mike just about that entire time. But I generally collect the things from the 1860s up to about the 1960s, preferably everything old. But as Mike mentioned, these are the early plain type of jugs, and they started in 1865, 1870 with what they call a beehive jug. And those were made in a half gallon, 1 gallon, and a 2 gallon, and a 3 gallon. As far as I've seen after all these years, there could be maybe another size larger. And then in the 1870s, up through the 1880s, they made these advertising stencil jugs all the way from a quart size, which is this little one, very hard jug to find, all the way through a 5 gallon. And they put their whiskey in. Very, very big and very heavy. I don't know how they lugged that thing around. And then they also made other advertising jugs with different stencils and lettering all the way in the 1870s and the 1880s, and probably still used much of the early 1900s. Along came the cylinder bottles. These are actually quart cylinder bottles, and they started in 1885. And there's about roughly 10 or 11 versions of these bottles. These are the rare ones, what they call a slug plate, advertising Jack Daniel. And there could be more, but there was at least 3 different bottle manufacturers at the time. Owens, Illinois being one. Brockway has a B on the bottom of the bottles. And there was another company I'll get into that made bottles for Gunner and Jack Daniels called the LC&R company. And I've done some research, and just recently, in the last couple of years, found some information which I never found before. I have 3 different bottles that are embossed on the bottom, LC&R company, and no one ever knew what that was. And what that is a company in Louisville, Kentucky, in business from 1893 to 1932. It's called Lampton, Crane, and Ramey. And they actually made bottles, various configurations of whiskey bottles for Jack Daniels and WT and CD Gunner. I'll get into that in a few minutes. But there's stock bottles they made that has Jack Daniel Old Time Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Probably the most common bottle you'll see, even though they're very difficult to find nowadays. And the ones with the slug plates, there are several versions of that. They're very rare, very hard bottles to find. I just don't think they made a tremendous amount of them. And they also, made whiskey jugs up till about 1920. Somewhere between 1865 and about 1920, and all kinds of different advertising. And Mike will touch a little bit later on the Motlow advertising and some of the jugs that he advertised with his names on them. Sometime in the early 1900s, probably some of the rarest bottles you ever find are what we call the back bar bottles. They were in saloons typically. Jack Daniel's made 5 versions that I've seen personally over the years. And I've got a couple of them in this case here. One of them was made, this one here on the left with the fancy swirls. It's a heavy crystal bottle made in 1896, and it was made for the 1897 Tennessee Centennial. It's a very, very rare bottle. They were expensive to make, very costly. Probably made them for dignitaries and people, and just didn't make a whole heck of a lot of them over the years. And then they made a back bar bottle when they won the gold medal in 1904 at the St. Louis World's Fair. And as you can see on there, these are white enameled over a black base. And most of your back bar bottles will be a white enamel. There are lots of Kentuckys that have gold writing and things on them, and I have a Jack Daniel's that has gold leaf writing on it. But every other panel on that bottle there is in gold. And my understanding is they made that just for some dignitaries and just a few significant people, and that's why I've probably only seen 3 or 4 of those in 43 years, and I've only seen 2 of the Centennial bottles. They also made 3 other different back bar bottles right in the early 1900 time frame. In 1895, they got away from the cylinder quart bottles and went to what they call the 1895 bottle. Generally speaking, and Mike and I feel the same way, these bottles were made with paper labels on them. And generally speaking, they were green or a couple different shades of green. And they're embossed on the back. And there's several versions of this bottle. It has a circle around it. Some don't have a circle. There's some fancy tops that go on these things. But most of these bottles you see nowadays, the label didn't survive. If you get moisture, water of any sort, that label was gone. Unlike the labels nowadays, you can clean them. These you can't really touch. So a lot of these did not survive. But we feel that when they came out in the 1895, that they were labeled with a green label. The only black label that we have ever seen is this one right here. And this is our early 1900 bottle. And the information we have is there's some leftover barrels, and so they made some labeling and bottled bottles for an 8-year, a 10, a 12, a 14, an 18, and a 21-year-old corn whiskey. These are extremely rare, and they are also embossed. This one happens to have a circle on the back. But that's the only black label, and you can see it's called a Lincoln Pure County corn whiskey bottle. And these are very hard to come by. And then,
if you've got our book, there's the 1895 bottles that all of them were nearly green. They had green labels on them.
Yep.
And so anyway, if you've got our book, that's in page 34.
And this one, which is also in the book, is the only one that I'm aware of that is not embossed on the back. So they could have been experimenting, which I think they did with some different label variations. And this is just a light green bottle. I think the distillery has one of these, and I saw one of these in an auction about 25 years ago, the only time I've ever seen that particular bottle. But those were made all the way up to Prohibition in 1909. And they're still all very difficult to find. I'll go ahead and touch on Gunner.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
WT and CD Gunner represented Jack Daniel's as sole sales agents from 1890 to 1910. And I've done a fair amount of research on those guys. And they were very significant in Jack Daniel history and the legacy. They did a lot of advertising for them, promoted their products. They had an office up on 205 Broad Street in Nashville. They made advertising jugs along with Jack Daniel. As you can see, this one here, WT and CD Gunner liquor dealers, Jack Daniel's No. 7 whiskey. These were made probably from 1895 all the way up to Prohibition. Many configurations of this one. The largest one I've seen is a half gallon, 1 gallon, and a 2 gallon, and lots of different configurations. They basically say the same thing. And they also had a saloon in Shelbyville, Tennessee. C.D. Gunner, Charles David Gunner, was the manager of what they call the Palace Saloon. And it was on the east side of the square. And I also have a jug, which I didn't bring today. It's a miniature jug. It says, drink Jack Daniel's whiskey on one side, and the other side, it's what they call a scratch jug. Miniature jugs were generally given away to customers, probably their better customers, as giveaways. And on the back side, it says Gunner's Tip Top Saloon. So I don't know if those were one and the same or they had a separate saloon back in the day, but C.D. Gunner actually ran that as the manager. W.T. Gunner, William Thomas Gunner, passed away in 1932. C.D. Gunner passed away in 1913, and he had a son named Clyde. We've done some research on him, and they did some advertising, some corkscrews that are actually advertising W.T. and C. Gunner, which is actually William Thomas and Clyde Gunner. And he was in business in Indiana, where their main office was, up until about 1917, 1918, when Prohibition ended in Indiana. And Clyde Gunner passed away in 1979. But all the Gunners were absolutely instrumental in Jack Daniel's history, and very sought after nowadays. This particular bottle is a W.T. and C.D. Gunner along with Jack Daniel's, and this is probably about 1895 to 1900. It's a cylinder quart bottle. They made 2 or 3 different versions of this, all very highly collectible and sought after. And one other thing, I brought this particular jug is W.T. and C.D. Gunner, Shelbyville, Tennessee. They made about 5 or 6 variations of this jug, maybe a few more in a couple different sizes. So they did their own advertising, probably in the 1890s to 1900s, I would say somewhere in that area. But these are very hard to find nowadays. You want to
get a spoon while you're down there? You get a spoon?
Yeah, I brought a spoon. This is a Spoon Motlow jug, extremely rare. Spoon was in business in Anniston, Alabama from 1904 to 1908. And then after Tennessee went bone dry, Lem Motlow was a partner in this, as well as the Birmingham, which Mike will touch on, the Birmingham, Alabama operation. But he was in business for 4 or 5 years, had a saloon in Anniston. And only jug I've ever heard of is this quart-sized jug. I don't think they made any other configurations that I've ever seen. And then he moved after 1909 to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We actually have some advertising with Spoon Motlow advertising whiskeys from Jack Daniel's whiskey from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is pretty interesting. But that's Lem Motlow's brother, and he had a 33% interest in that saloon, as well as the Birmingham operation, which I think Mike's going to touch on a little bit of the Birmingham and some of the Motlow things.
Okay. Now,
thank you.
Now, that's right.
These bottles we have here, the Topaz and the brandies, Jack Daniel resumed in 1938.
They need the money right off.
And he made those type of peach brandies and pear brandies and a number of apple brandies, the most prevalent one. And those were all through the 1940s. And they also had black labels. I've got some, and Mike does also, some black label bottles that are actually aged 4, 5, 6 years from the early 1940s. But the Topaz was probably a short-lived thing.
Well, when he started up after Prohibition, you starting up, and you can't really wait real long for money, so you got to have something you could sell quick. That's corn whiskey, which didn't require any ages.
he could sell that right off and live. Motlow was 1 year, so you had stuff while you was waiting that stuff to age out 4 years.
Well, he had to generate some money.
He had to generate some money.
Yeah.
He couldn't sit up there.
And some of these that we've got on the back label, they're aged 1 month. 1 month.
That's the Topaz.
That's the Topaz, yeah. It's just moonshine's all it is.
Most of the Topaz,
Good quality moonshine.
most of the Topaz whiskeys were, and this is a pint. They made half pint and a 1 pint, and they also made a round, I think a 4/5 quart, which is.
Well, I think I have. I used to have.
Yeah, they're very difficult to find, but there's actually a round bottle with Topaz.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ringo, here at Barkview Senior Living. They're human friendly. That's why I love it here, and so does my senior human. When they want a bite, they get chef-prepared meals, and so do I. Movies in the theater, day trips, walks on the trail, and other senior humans to play with. The grass and the grounds are exquisite. It's everything my human needs to be healthy and active. Barkview. A Parkview Senior Living. For your dog's best friend, you.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches, me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes. Look at that. Yeah, you didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you got to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I'm glad to have my buddy Jackie Duncan with us again today. And he's become one of our regular characters, because we're all characters.
Amen. Characters in life.
In the show.
That's right.
We're all characters in the show.
That's right, and we're just putting on a big performance. Life is a big performance.
Yeah, it is.
So pretty much it is.
And we were just discussing the fact that it's also a training ground.
It is.
What this is the dress rehearsal.
This is the dress rehearsal, yes, sir. And I've realized that more later in life, and that we're all just performers, and hopefully there's somebody's always watching us. I promise you, and it's all getting written down somewhere. You can be good or bad, but it gets recorded, and so I want to do the best I can every day I live. There's so much potential.
Sure.
In this life, in these bodies, and we were put here for a purpose, and I'm starting to really, really, really understand that better. And I think there's so much that we are assigned to do. If you've got urges inside you to do great things are capable from you, from me and you.
Anybody.
And that was one of the that's one of the things that kind of segments into what I was going to talk about today. And I want to encourage everybody. This is Women's Month. Now, we know this. And it's been Women's Month this whole month. And we went around.
I thought every month was Women's.
Every month is, and we all, hey, us men, we know that.
Yeah, well, you better know it. But the quicker you learn it, the better off you are.
You're right. Now, I haven't had the, I guess, had the roads that most men have in life because I've never been married, but I've been engaged a few times. Now I believe in long engagements. So, and anyway, the last lady that we were engaged, she was a psychology professor at Tennessee Tech. Now she could probably work my mind pretty good. I don't know, but we never got it worked quite right. I guess I outlasted her. She was a blessing to my life, though, and just to be able to help her during her distresses in life, you know. She had some real issues, medical issues, and I was just blessed to be a part of her life. And at the same time, my mother was sick, and I was back and forth, mother and back and forth with her to Cookville and then to work and all this. So that's why I retired early, to be a blessing to both of them. And I thought, well, I can do this, be a blessing to the people who have blessed my life as it had. But the bottom line is that what right now I want to do to encourage folks, especially the women in my life or in your life, and I know your life because she's
special.
She's an awesome person, and I've known Fran for God knows as long as I've known you, and that's been a long time. But I wanted to do something that some of the women in my life that I just want to highlight them because they have been so special, and I want everybody to know that you can change the world. We all can change. We change the world a little bit every day in our own little realm of or our own little circle.
That's all we can do.
That's all we can do. But then you never know when the goodness that you do or the evil that you do, you never know how far it's going to go. But the goodness goes a lot further, I promise you. And people think a lot more of you, a lot better of you, and then there's always that final chapter. You don't know when you're leaving here, and then you know where you're going when you've been good. So, bottom line is that these people that I want to highlight today, these are people in my life, women in my life that have blessed. My mother she was such a blessing, an awesome person she was an awesome blessing to everybody, I think, that she ever came in contact with. But it's not just my mother, and that would be selfish of me just to highlight my mother. Everybody thinks their mother probably was the greatest, but I wanted to highlight these ladies here. That there were three ladies that I wanted to just say something about briefly, just to show that regardless of who you are or where you are, we each have the power to bring about world change. Now, Sister Jessie, I've often talked about her. She lived right over 2 streets over on Washington Street. I believe it's northwest or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, northeast or whatever. Anyway, I don't know which street, but it's the other side of the railroad track over there. And says Sister Jessie Lee Duncan Harris, a faith healer from Tullahoma, Tennessee, changed Zig Ziglar's life. Says in every one of his publications, he gives her credit for leading him to the Lord, thus bringing him from a door-to-door salesman to the world stage where he inspired millions. And I've gone to see Zig back when I was a lot younger. I'd go see him in Nashville at the Municipal Auditorium or wherever he was going to be, because I loved inspirational speakers and I always wanted to be inspired. I got inspired. Now I'm trying to inspire others. So, but he had the statement here. It says, is any one of us superior? It says, when all of us understand that there is no superior sex or superior race, we will have laid the foundation for building a winning relationship with both sexes and people of all races, creeds, and colors. He said the 5 people who have had the greatest impact on his life were all women. He said his mother, his wife, his oldest daughter, and an African-American lady, his first grade teacher. He said, I can only imagine what would have missed if I had been a sexist. But he was saying that the influence that Sister Jessie had on his life, says the Native Americans, 3 Native Americans had a significant impact on his life. One is in his sales career, another in his speaking career, and yet another in his spiritual life. Each dramatically, even radically, increased my effectiveness and expanded my opportunities. Each one had a positive influence on my financial life, family life, and community life. Sister Jessie, an African-American lady noted above, spent the 4th of July 1972 that weekend at his home, and as a result, he became a Christian, a truly life-enhancing, life-changing experience. He gave Sister Jessie credit for leading him to the Lord, thus changing his life. Yeah, and so anyway, then I wanted to say about Dr. Mobley, Dr. Eugenia Mobley, who inspired her wisdom and encouraging others through her instruction. And I was inspired by her. I used to go and visit her as a young man. She was wound up being president of Meharry Dental College. And and she had, anyway, I know time is slipping away here, and then the third person, and she was my cousin's wife, and her husband was a doctor at Meharry as well. His brother was the chairman of the head of the music department at Knoxville College. But anyway, the third person that I wanted to highlight, and I've spoken about her many times, was Mrs. Mary Duncan, Oprah's favorite teacher. And I've had the opportunity, I've just been blessed with having women of high stature or who became world changers. That some lived here in Tullahoma, some didn't. Mr. Mary lived in Nashville, Aunt Mary. But I had some that lived here. Sister Jessie lived here. There were so many others that left here that were ministers and became ministers and went to Chicago and probably changed a ton. I know went to Chicago and changed a lot of lives, and we'll talk about that some other time. But we're out of time. Yeah, we're out of time.
All right, buddy.
Anyway,
thank you for being here, and we'll keep it going.
We'll keep it going.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back after these messages.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, Miss Peg, we're getting ready to close.
Oh,
And a couple
are we
things.
done?
We're done, and a great show, and a lot of information. And one thing I want to remind everybody is we will have our 5th annual Purple Olympics on May the 6th at the Tullahoma High School. And we're still looking for sponsors and teams, basically teams, and we've had a problem over the past 2 years because a lot of the people couldn't have a team because of COVID.
Right.
And a lot of the people were afraid to get out. A lot of the places that have banks and different facilities didn't have enough people to work.
To keep their own business
to keep their own business open. So get in touch with Fran down at her office. And that's right down the street from us down here. I think it's 309, we're 207, she's 309 in the Shahan building down here.
Right.
And stop by and see her or give her a call at 931-581-5237. I should know her business number, but I don't. And something else, these little books right here, my little Easter omnibus, you can find them at the Fine Arts Center. And I was just told to take some to South Jackson Civic Center. This is my representation of the Easter story told in poetry.
That's wonderful.
$10, only $10. So go by and pick one of those up. We love you. We thank you. Be smart.
Be safe.
And
stay focused.
Pay attention. Pay attention. It's your town. Own it. See you next time.